What if everything you've been told about history, religion, and human knowledge is incomplete? Because the most important truths are locked away, hidden in the depths of the Vatican. The Vatican Apostolic Library isn't just a collection of books. It's a fortress of secrets, a vault of forbidden knowledge, containing ancient manuscripts, lost doctrines, and classified documents that could change everything we believe about faith, history, and the divine. But here's the problem. You're not allowed to see them. Stretching over 50 miles of restricted shelves, this is one of the most heavily guarded archives on Earth. It's not open to the public. It's not even open to most members of the Church. Only a select few scholars approved by the Vatican are allowed a limited glimpse of carefully chosen texts. And even then, they can't talk about what they see. Why? What knowledge is so powerful that it must remain locked away? Could these hidden writings contain lost teachings of Jesus, ancient prophecies, or evidence of history as we've never known it? Today, we uncover the truth. The Vatican Library is not just a historical archive. It is a gatekeeper of knowledge, holding texts so powerful that they must be kept from public eyes. Officially founded in 1475, it is said to house documents that predate its establishment by centuries, some reaching back to the earliest days of Christianity. Unlike ordinary libraries, this one is not meant for the people. There are no open shelves, no public records, no access for those who simply wish to learn. Instead, the Vatican tightly controls who is allowed in, what they can see, and what they can take away. Even approved scholars must undergo a rigorous process to gain entry, providing detailed justifications for their research. And even then, they are only permitted to view select documents, often in digitized form, never the originals. These restrictions raise an unsettling question. What is the Vatican so desperate to keep hidden? If these archives contain nothing more than routine church records, why impose such secrecy? Some believe that buried within these archives lie ancient texts that contradict modern religious doctrine, documents that would shake the very foundation of Christianity. Others speculate that the Vatican holds historical records revealing a much older and far more complex past than what we have been taught. There are even whispers of manuscripts that detail advanced knowledge of science, metaphysics, and spiritual enlightenment. The kind of knowledge that, if released, could liberate individuals from the control of religious institutions. One of the most controversial theories suggests that hidden deep within these archives are long-lost teachings of Jesus, messages that were deliberately removed from religious texts to maintain control over the masses. If these writings prove that Jesus preached self-empowerment rather than blind obedience, it would dismantle the need for an institutionalized church. And that is a truth the Vatican cannot afford to let the world see. There are even rumors that the Vatican possesses records of secret societies, ancient relics, and suppressed knowledge that could completely rewrite what we think we know about human history. These secrets are not just about religion. They touch on political power, esoteric wisdom, and even potential contact with non-human entities. Could it be that the Vatican has been curating history itself, deciding what humanity is allowed to know and what must remain buried? And there's something even more unsettling. Some of the most sensitive knowledge is simply too dangerous to reveal here. That's why we created Insights Academy, a free newsletter where we go deeper into truths that can't be discussed openly. Right now, for a limited time, you'll even receive a free digital copy of the Kybalion when you sign up. This isn't a reward. It's a tool to help you understand the hidden forces shaping our reality. Go to the link in the description and sign up before it's too late. If the Vatican is keeping these texts locked away, it is not to protect the people, it is to protect its own power. The greatest lie ever told is that history is something that simply happened, written down without agenda. But the truth is far more disturbing. History has been carefully edited, censored, and rewritten. And the Vatican has ensured that some of the most important chapters are never read by the public. But what exactly is in these forbidden documents? What knowledge is so powerful that it must remain hidden at all costs? It's time to uncover the secrets that have been buried for centuries. Deep inside the Vatican archives, locked away from public eyes, lie manuscripts so controversial that they have been buried for centuries. These are not just ordinary texts. They are documents that, if revealed, could challenge everything we think we know about Christianity, spirituality, and even the very nature of reality. While the Church claims these restrictions are meant to preserve historical accuracy, the real question is, what truths are too dangerous for the world to see? One of the most unsettling possibilities is the existence of lost teachings of Jesus, hidden doctrines that were deliberately excluded from the Bible. Many researchers believe that early Christianity was far more diverse than we have been led to believe, with multiple groups practicing different interpretations of Jesus' message. Some of these teachings are rumored to contain spiritual techniques for enlightenment, mystical practices, and knowledge of the true nature of existence. If Jesus' real message was about individual spiritual power rather than obedience to an institution, then the entire structure of organized religion would be threatened. Take the Gospel of Judas, for example, one of the most controversial texts believed to be hidden within the Vatican's archives. Unlike the traditional biblical narrative, this document presents Judas Iscariot not as a traitor, but as Jesus' most trusted disciple, carrying out a divine mission. Instead of betraying Jesus, Judas was following secret instructions given to him by Jesus himself, allowing the crucifixion to take place as part of a greater plan. If this version of the story were widely accepted, it would turn Christian doctrine upside down, challenging the very foundation of faith, sin, and redemption. Then there are the secret records of the Knights Templar, an organization that once held enormous power before they were brutally suppressed by the Church in the 14th century. During their rise, the Templars amassed vast amounts of esoteric knowledge, alchemical secrets, and possibly even information about the Holy Grail itself. When the order was disbanded, much of their documentation was seized and allegedly stored deep within the Vatican's archives. What exactly did they know? And why has the Church fought so hard to keep their secrets from being exposed? Another heavily speculated set of manuscripts are the lost letters of Mary Magdalene. For centuries, Mary Magdalene has been reduced to a secondary figure in Christian history. But what if her role was far more important? Some documents suggest that she was not just a follower, but a spiritual teacher in her own right, perhaps even someone to whom Jesus imparted secret knowledge. There are even whispers that she and Jesus shared a sacred bond, one that was erased from history to maintain a male-dominated church hierarchy. But the Vatican's secrecy isn't just about Christian texts. There are rumors of manuscripts that describe interactions with celestial beings, messages from otherworldly intelligences, and knowledge of a past far more advanced than we assume. Some theorists believe that ancient civilizations had access to knowledge far beyond what should have been possible at the time, knowledge that has since been hidden away. Could the Vatican be protecting documents that detail pre-Christian spiritual traditions, lost civilizations, or even evidence of extraterrestrial contact? The deeper you go, the more it becomes clear. The Vatican is not just preserving history, it is curating reality. These manuscripts could provide alternative explanations for humanity's spiritual evolution, lost civilizations, and the true origins of our beliefs. But instead of allowing open discussion, these texts remain hidden, guarded, classified, and locked behind walls that only a select few will ever pass through. But why? If these texts are just relics of the past, why keep them so heavily restricted? What are they so afraid of? The answer is simple. Knowledge is power. And the Vatican has made sure that the most powerful knowledge in history remains in their hands. But we're not stopping here. If these lost documents hold the real teachings of Jesus, evidence of ancient spiritual knowledge, or even proof of contact with higher intelligences, then the next question is even bigger. What exactly was Jesus teaching that the Church didn't want the world to know? The Bible is not the full story. What we read today is a carefully curated selection of texts, edited, rewritten, and approved by religious authorities over centuries. But what if Jesus' real message was never meant to be controlled by an institution? What if the missing pieces of his teachings contained knowledge so powerful that the Church had no choice but to suppress it. Many believe that buried deep within the Vatican archives are documents that contain the lost teachings of Jesus, wisdom that was deliberately removed from religious doctrine to maintain control over the masses. These teachings, some say, did not focus on strict religious obedience, but instead revealed secrets of consciousness, enlightenment, and direct communion with the divine. There are whispers of ancient manuscripts that describe Jesus not just as a teacher of morality, but as a master of higher knowledge, someone who understood the deeper mechanics of the universe, energy, and human potential. Some accounts suggest that Jesus taught spiritual techniques to awaken hidden abilities, allowing individuals to experience divine truth without the need for an institution or religious hierarchy. If such knowledge had been embraced, the Church's role as an intermediary between man and God would have become unnecessary. One of the most compelling theories is that Jesus spent years traveling and studying outside of Judea, absorbing the mystical traditions of Egypt, India, and Tibet. Several non-canonical texts suggest that he learned from spiritual masters in the East, incorporating elements of Buddhism, Vedantic wisdom, and Egyptian Hermeticism into his teachings. If true, this would mean that Christianity was never meant to be an isolated doctrine. It was part of a global spiritual tradition. The Vatican has long denied these possibilities, yet evidence keeps surfacing. In the late 19th century, documents known as the Hemis manuscripts were discovered in a monastery in Tibet, describing a holy figure from the West known as Saint Issa, who studied among Buddhist monks and learned the secrets of the spirit. The descriptions bear uncanny similarities to Jesus. If these accounts are true, it would mean that Jesus' wisdom was not exclusive to the Bible. It was a synthesis of multiple esoteric traditions, a universal teaching that transcended any one religion. But what happened to these deeper teachings? Why are they absent from mainstream Christianity? Some researchers believe that they were systematically removed by the Church to ensure that spiritual authority remained centralized. If people realized that divinity was not something external, but something that could be accessed from within, the entire foundation of religious control would collapse. This theory aligns with the discovery of Gnostic texts, such as the Gospel of Thomas, a manuscript that does not depict Jesus as a Messiah to be worshipped, but as a teacher guiding individuals toward inner enlightenment. Instead of instructing followers to rely on the Church, Jesus' words in this text suggest that the divine is already within each person, waiting to be awakened. This directly contradicts traditional Christian teachings, which emphasize the need for external salvation through religious institutions. If these Gnostic teachings were accepted, they would undermine the necessity of a church hierarchy, priests, and religious intermediaries. The Vatican, recognizing the threat, ensured that these texts were declared heretical and buried from public knowledge. But here's the most disturbing question. If these teachings could empower individuals to discover their own divine connection, what else has been hidden? Could Jesus have understood the nature of reality in a way that science is only beginning to grasp? Could he have spoken of the power of thought, the illusion of material existence, and the ability to manifest reality, ideas that align with modern quantum physics and metaphysics? If the Vatican possesses documents that confirm these deeper truths, it means that the real teachings of Jesus have been kept from humanity for centuries. And if those who control history control reality, then the Church has ensured that millions have lived and died without ever knowing the full truth of their own existence. But the secrecy does not end with Jesus' teachings alone. There are even more unsettling whispers, accounts of ancient knowledge that extend beyond just spiritual enlightenment. Some believe that the Vatican holds evidence of something even greater, contact with higher intelligences. If that is true, then the next part of this journey leads us into something far more mysterious, the possibility that our history, and perhaps even our origins, have been deliberately obscured. For centuries, religious texts have described encounters with celestial beings, glowing figures descending from the heavens, voices speaking from the sky, mysterious wheels of fire appearing before prophets. But what if these descriptions were not metaphorical or divine, but something else entirely? What if they were accounts of contact with non-human intelligences, beings mistaken for angels, gods, or even the divine itself? The Vatican has always been obsessed with the stars. It operates one of the most advanced astronomical observatories in the world, known as the Vatican Advanced Technology Telescope, VATT. Why would a religious institution invest so heavily in studying the cosmos? What are they really searching for? Some believe the answer lies deep within the Vatican archives, buried among ancient texts that reveal humanity's hidden relationship with otherworldly entities. Throughout history, almost every major civilization has recorded encounters with advanced beings who arrived from above, whether in Sumerian cuneiform tablets, Egyptian hieroglyphs, Mayan carvings, or biblical scripture. Yet, modern religious teachings rarely address these encounters in depth. Instead, they are either ignored, dismissed as myth, or reframed as purely spiritual experiences. But what if they weren't just visions? What if they were real events? Consider the book of Ezekiel in the Old Testament. Ezekiel describes a vision of a flying object, appearing as a great cloud with flashing fire and wheels that moved independently, changing direction without turning. To a civilization with no knowledge of advanced technology, this might have seemed like an encounter with angels. But today, such a description sounds eerily similar to modern reports of UFOs. The Vatican has never openly addressed these interpretations, but behind closed doors, it has been deeply involved in the study of extraterrestrial possibilities. In 2008, Vatican astronomer José Gabriel Funes made a stunning statement. There is no conflict between believing in God and believing in extraterrestrials. This was not an offhand remark. This was a calculated admission, signaling that the Church has already considered the existence of life beyond Earth. But the real question is, does the Vatican possess evidence of direct contact? Some researchers believe that deep in the Vatican archives are classified documents detailing historical encounters between the Church and unknown celestial entities. Rumors persist that the Vatican holds records of unexplained aerial phenomena witnessed by ancient religious figures, including direct communication with beings who imparted forbidden knowledge. One of the most shocking claims is that within these archives exists evidence that key religious events throughout history were actually misinterpreted encounters with advanced non-human intelligences. What if Moses' encounter with the burning bush was not divine intervention, but an advanced communication device? What if the transfiguration of Jesus, where he was said to glow with light and converse with figures from beyond, was not merely a spiritual event, but an interaction with something beyond human comprehension? There are even whispers of Vatican-controlled artifacts, objects retrieved from ancient sites that allegedly contain materials not found on Earth. Some researchers speculate that these could be remnants of long-forgotten contact between early civilizations and unknown entities. Could the Vatican be safeguarding proof that humanity has been guided or manipulated by forces beyond our understanding? If the Vatican has held these records for centuries, why have they never been released? The answer is simple: power. The moment the Church acknowledges the existence of otherworldly intelligences, it changes everything. It forces a complete re-evaluation of religious doctrine, human origins, and our place in the universe. If humanity was visited, influenced, or even genetically altered by advanced beings, then what does that mean for the stories we have been told about creation, salvation, and divine authority? And perhaps that is the very reason why this knowledge remains hidden. The Vatican's control is built upon certainty, the idea that it holds the ultimate truth. But if evidence exists that we are not alone, then it would mean that the Vatican does not have all the answers. It would mean that our understanding of history, spirituality, and even consciousness itself has been artificially limited. The question now is, if the Vatican is capable of concealing knowledge on this scale, what else has it deliberately kept from the world? The next step in our journey takes us deeper into the heart of historical manipulation, religious censorship, and the destruction of forbidden knowledge. Because history is not just what we have been told, it is what has been intentionally erased. History is not just recorded, it is controlled. For centuries, the Vatican has held immense power over the flow of information, deciding what knowledge is preserved, what is hidden, and what is destroyed. But here's the question that few dare to ask. How much of what we think we know about history has been carefully rewritten to serve a greater agenda? The Vatican is not just a religious institution. It has functioned as a global authority, a political force, and a gatekeeper of knowledge. From the early days of the Roman Church, it took deliberate steps to erase alternative spiritual beliefs, suppress forbidden knowledge, and eliminate anything that threatened its hold over the masses. This was not just about religion, it was about controlling the very foundation of human understanding. One of the most infamous periods in history, the Inquisition, was not just a war against so-called heretics. It was a systematic effort to erase competing ideologies. Countless books on alchemy, astrology, Hermeticism, and alternative spiritual traditions were burned, while those who carried ancient wisdom were executed or forced into silence. Why? Because these teachings empowered individuals to seek their own spiritual truth, rather than rely on the Church as an intermediary. Even before the Inquisition, the Vatican played a key role in determining which Christian texts were acceptable and which were to be buried. The Council of Nicaea in 325 AD, convened by Emperor Constantine, was a pivotal moment where religious leaders selected which Gospels would be included in the official Bible and which would be discarded. Alternative accounts, including Gnostic texts, mystical writings, and esoteric teachings, were deemed dangerous. They were either destroyed or hidden, locked away so that only those in power could access them. One of the greatest tragedies of this selective historical editing is the lost knowledge of ancient civilizations. Consider the Great Library of Alexandria, a vast repository of wisdom containing records from across the ancient world, including texts on advanced mathematics, medicine, astronomy, and metaphysical sciences. It was systematically destroyed, with many suspecting that the Church played a role in ensuring that its contents never resurfaced. What secrets were lost in those flames? Did these ancient texts contain knowledge that would have catapulted humanity centuries ahead in science, spirituality, or consciousness? Some believe that fragments of these texts still exist within the Vatican's hidden vaults, carefully stored away where they cannot be accessed by the public. Even in modern times, the Vatican continues to act as a gatekeeper of history. It is known that the archives contain classified documents relating to world events, political dealings, and possibly even hidden scientific discoveries. Some theorists suggest that within these vaults are records of ancient maps, blueprints of lost technologies, and historical accounts that contradict mainstream narratives. One of the most disturbing possibilities is that the Vatican possesses evidence of pre-Christian civilizations with knowledge far beyond what history books tell us. Could it be that the official timeline of human advancement has been deliberately manipulated? If powerful knowledge was discovered in ancient times, knowledge that could elevate human consciousness or challenge religious control, wouldn't those in power have every reason to suppress it? But here's the bigger question. Why does this secrecy continue today? If these texts are nothing more than historical records, why does the Vatican go to such extreme lengths to ensure they are never made public? If history were truly about truth, transparency, and education, wouldn't these documents be available for scholars and researchers across the world? The reality is that history is a tool, one that can be shaped, rewritten, and weaponized. And those who control history control perception, belief, and ultimately, reality itself. But the Vatican's secrets don't end with historical censorship. Beyond the books, beyond the records, there is something even more carefully protected: physical security measures that ensure no one uncovers what lies within. The next part of this journey takes us into one of the most restricted places on Earth, where information is not just hidden, it is locked away with force. The Vatican archives are not just a library, they are a fortress. A place where history is not only preserved but actively concealed. While the Church claims this secrecy is meant to protect delicate manuscripts, the reality is far more disturbing. These archives are among the most highly restricted places on Earth. Gaining access is nearly impossible. Unlike public institutions where historical records are studied and shared, the Vatican tightly controls who is allowed to enter, what they can read, and what they can take away. Even accredited scholars must undergo an extensive vetting process, requiring formal approval from high-ranking church officials. And even then, they are only permitted to view a handful of pre-selected documents, never the ones that might contain the most controversial truths. The few researchers who have been granted access report an experience unlike any other. The deeper they go, the more layers of restriction they encounter. Entire sections of the archives remain completely off-limits, sealed behind reinforced doors, monitored 24/7 by Vatican security. Many of the most sensitive texts are not available in their original form, only heavily controlled, digital copies that scholars must view under strict supervision. Why? What information is so powerful, so dangerous, that even trusted academics are not allowed to see it? One possible answer lies in the Vatican's long history of silencing those who uncover too much. Over the centuries, countless figures who have challenged the Church's version of history, from philosophers and scientists to mystics and theologians, have been excommunicated, branded as heretics, or worse. And even in modern times, the consequences of exposing Vatican secrets are severe. Any researcher who attempts to publish unauthorized material risks being permanently banned from the archives. Some have even reported experiencing sudden professional setbacks after making controversial discoveries, losing funding, facing academic blacklisting, or mysteriously falling out of favor with major institutions. The Vatican's security extends far beyond just locked doors. Behind the walls of this city-state exists a highly sophisticated intelligence network, one that has been described as the world's oldest and most powerful information control system. The Church has maintained deep connections with political leaders, intelligence agencies, and financial institutions for centuries. This means that its ability to influence global narratives, suppress damaging information, and protect its secrets is unparalleled. But the most unsettling aspect of all is that no one knows exactly how much knowledge the Vatican is hiding. The official records state that the archives contain over 50 miles of shelving, but many believe that this is only the publicly acknowledged portion. Some reports suggest that there are hidden levels beneath the Vatican, underground vaults that hold the most classified and sensitive documents in existence. What could be so devastating that it must be buried, both literally and figuratively? Could there be evidence of ancient lost civilizations, hidden spiritual doctrines, or even knowledge that challenges the very origins of religion itself? And if these vaults do exist, how far would the Vatican go to protect them? The deeper we look, the clearer it becomes. This is not just about preserving history. This is about controlling it. By restricting access to certain truths, the Vatican has been able to shape the world's understanding of faith, power, and human history. But the real question is, what happens if those secrets are ever revealed? Because knowledge is not just power, it is liberation. If the information locked away within the Vatican's vaults ever came to light, it could shake the foundations of organized religion, challenge centuries of accepted history, and force humanity to question everything we thought we knew. But while we may never be allowed behind those locked doors, there is one thing we can do: seek the truth for ourselves. We do not need permission to uncover the hidden realities of our world. The Vatican may control its archives, but it does not control our ability to think, question, and search for the answers that have been kept from us. And that is where the real power lies. But before we conclude, there is one final question left to answer, one that may hold the key to understanding why the Vatican is so afraid of what's hidden in its archives. The truth is not just about the past, it is about what happens next. If the Vatican is truly safeguarding ancient wisdom, hidden manuscripts, and forbidden knowledge, then the real question is this: what are they protecting, and who benefits from keeping humanity in the dark? Because this secrecy is not just about the past, it is about controlling the future. The world has been conditioned to believe that knowledge is freely available, that history is well documented, and that religion is a guide for spiritual enlightenment. But what if that was never the case? What if the Vatican's true power has never been in what it teaches, but in what it withholds? If the lost teachings of Jesus were revealed, if it became known that his wisdom extended beyond doctrine, beyond obedience, into something truly transformative and liberating, then the entire structure of religious control would collapse overnight. If people understood that divinity is not external, but something within themselves, they would have no need for intermediaries, no reason to surrender their power to institutions. If the Vatican truly holds records of advanced civilizations, ancient scientific knowledge, or evidence of lost technologies, then it would mean that humanity's true history is far greater than we've been told. It would prove that the narrative we have been given is not just incomplete, but deliberately manipulated. It would mean that we are not simply the descendants of primitive societies that slowly built their way up to modern civilization, but rather, we are part of a much larger story, one that has been carefully hidden. And then there are the extraterrestrial files. If the Vatican has evidence of contact with higher intelligences, if it knows that humanity has never truly been alone, then it would mean that the entire foundation of religion would have to be rewritten. It would mean that many of the divine encounters recorded throughout history were not supernatural events, but interactions with beings far beyond our understanding. And if that truth ever surfaced, it would shatter centuries of belief systems, calling into question not only religion, but also the power structures that govern our world. But perhaps the most terrifying revelation of all is this. What if knowledge itself has been weaponized? If the Vatican has successfully controlled history for centuries, deciding what information reaches the masses and what is buried in the archives, then it means we have been living in a carefully manufactured reality. A world where the most powerful secrets of existence, about consciousness, about spirituality, about the universe, are known only to a select few, while the rest of humanity remains in ignorance. But here's the truth they don't want you to realize. The greatest secrets are not just locked away in the Vatican, they are hidden in plain sight. The fragments of lost wisdom still exist, scattered across history, encoded in ancient texts, whispered through myths and allegories, waiting to be rediscovered by those who seek to understand. And that's exactly why we created Insights Academy, our free newsletter where we share the knowledge that can't be openly discussed. If you are ready to dig deeper, to uncover what has been deliberately erased from history, then sign up now. For a limited time, you will also receive a free digital copy of the Kybalion, not as a reward, but as a tool to help you decode the hidden forces shaping our reality. The link is in the description. Don't miss this opportunity. Because in the end, truth is not something given, it is something taken. The Vatican may control its archives, but they cannot control the minds of those who seek to awaken. And now, the responsibility is yours. The real question is, will you choose to keep believing the story you were given? Or will you start searching for the truth that was meant to stay hidden? If this video resonated with you, let us know by commenting, "I understood it,"